Hi everybody, David Nour. I want to welcome you to another Periscope session. I'm delighted you're here. I do these every Tuesday, typically at 1 o'clock Eastern. So Robert, welcome. Glad you're here. And if you are new to Periscope, you can swipe to share this with your social network, and you can double tap your mobile phone either during or at a recorded session to share hearts. That gives me feedback on topics, issues, things that I share that of particular value to you. So today's session is focused on how to work with the ultra competitive peers, right? I'm building a leadership development program for one of my clients, and we're inviting the best and the brightest. Our society tends to, and especially business environment, tends to notice and tends to promote the highly productive, those that produce results, that create outcomes. By the way, as I was thinking about this session, this is now my not so young daughter that's growing up very quickly, and that's my handsome son she's a soccer player and volleyball, and he plays lacrosse. And I think ever since we're all kids, most of our parents drive, a healthy dose of competition into us. Unfortunately, those ultra competitive colleagues, I wrote down some notes, are the high school or college athletes that really never grew up, right? And for whatever reason, and I'm not a psychologist, that's not the focus of this session, but they feel like everything is a race, and everything is win at all cost, and there's a fine line, and I'll talk about that in a second, between healthy competition, which I think raises the bar on all of us, and then certain unhealthy or really destructive or counterproductive kind of competition. So here we go, 5 strategies for dealing with ultra competitive colleagues. Number 1, as you can imagine, my focus, my passion is relationships. So I talk about really invest the time and effort to get to know them and give them a chance to get to know you. I've long believed at work, or certainly our business relationships, you're asking people to trust you on a daily basis. You're asking them to work with you. You're asking them to collaborate with you on projects or initiatives, count on you for your part of the project or the things you have to deliver for the company to move forward. What are you doing to give them a chance to get to know you? So we talk a lot about relationships outside of a company. I don't think we invest enough time, effort, resources on relationships inside the organization. So really invest time, to get to know them, give them a chance to get to know you. And specifically what I'm looking for is, what's the source of this competition, right? Is it something they want? Is it something they need? Is it to be recognized? Is it a pat on the back? Is it promotion? Is it financially driven? Hi there, glad you guys are here. So really understand what's the source of that competition, right? What is driving that peer of yours? I'm gonna block the users who are inappropriate. Thanks for coming. So what's the source of their, really that competitive drive? And here's a couple of things that I've identified. Some just have fragile self-esteems, right? They're constantly counting on their last competition or last accomplishment, or they're really focused on who are they able to impress to really set themselves apart. Others have this scarce resource mentality, and by that I mean they believe limited resources. If you get something, there's less of it for me. So that's an example. Akasha, welcome. Scope Master, glad you're here. So those are examples of, if you invest time to get to know some of your colleagues and really understand what's the source of that competition, why are they behaving a certain way, hopefully it'll give you that fine delineation that I'm looking for. Is this a healthy competition, which again raises the bar on everybody? Or is this an unhealthy one? And the way I'm looking at it is observable behavior, right? So is there mutual respect? Is there commitment to a common goal by the team or company? Those are all healthy. Those are fantastic. If somebody's nasty or sneaky or stabs you in the back or just has this ruthless behavior, that undermines your efforts and efforts of the team. And that is not behavior that is sustainable. That's not behavior that's productive. That's not a behavior that raises the bar on everybody. So again, we're talking about 5 strategies to deal with ultra-competitive coworkers. Number 1, really invest time and effort to get to know them and really understand and give them a chance to get to know you and understand what's the source of that competitive drive, right? Number 2, maintain a polite and civil manner. I'm a big believer of take the high road. Look for common grounds, right? Are there opportunities for us to work together? Because you want to work with them, not necessarily against them. I do believe we all have limited number of cycles, right? We have a limited amount of energy. And I can either spend that energy being pissed at somebody or really trying to, outdo them, or I can try to work with them and really raise the bar on their efforts. And in my experience, the latter one is just a lot more productive. It's a lot more forward-thinking. It's a lot more, again, I said take the high road. The other thing you have to understand is co-opetition, where you are, you cooperate sometimes, but you have to compete in other times, has become the norm in almost every industry, in almost a lot of companies. Because if you're not competing head-on with somebody else, you're competing for mind share, you're competing for wallet share, you're competing for priorities of what gets funded, what gets supported, what initiatives are going to move the company forward. So you have to understand in many ways that environments are changing and just the dynamic nature of our industry is changing. I'm speaking at the National Sporting Goods Association. Think of how aggressive and competitive all the manufacturing brands are. And now they're trying to compete with some of the same retailers that took them to market by going direct to consumers. So, and they're not alone. Every industry is getting really competitive. So it's important to understand that is becoming more and more the norm. So number 1, really invest time and effort to get to know them and figure out the source of that competition. 2, maintain a polite and civil manner. Take the high road. 3, look at your own competitive posture. Should you be more competitive? Should you hustle more? Should you put in a stronger effort? Again, unless you work for a government entity, sorry, for my government employee friends, where there's literally many times no sense of urgency, whether it's the pothole out in front of my house or, God forbid, going downtown for any kind of a permit or anything. Most people realize that they have to raise the bar on their own efforts. So the days of job security for a whole bunch of years, I believe, is numbered. The days of average are numbered. You're going to have to raise the bar on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And some introspection about what's your own competitive demeanor, your nature, I think would go a long way. Mighty Gino wants to know why. Just because more and more companies, more and more teams are becoming competitive. And those who produce results, those who drive key initiatives forward, as I mentioned earlier, are the ones that are getting the funding. And they're getting the support. And they're getting not just the recognition, but they're getting additional resources. And they're getting the awareness across the company because they're getting things done. Number 4, be an advocate of more cooperation and collaboration. I have a saying on my desk, kill them with kindness, right? So if you pull these ultra-competitive people into your projects, into your initiatives, into things that are important to you, into things you're working on, they tend to become a little less guarded, a little less, not always, but a little less reluctant, a little less, give you pushback. So again, just like I coach people to reciprocate first, if you extend a hand instead of having your hand out, it really helps people to see you as more cooperative and collaborative than necessarily competitive, right? So again, it goes back to kill them with kindness. It goes back to really help them see that you're stronger together and you can raise the bar on each other versus trying to head-on compete. Last but not least, let me give you some tactical best practices. And we've been talking about 5 strategies to deal with ultra-competitive peers. A great question. What if it doesn't work? So let me give you these tactical best practices, and I think that might be useful to you. Watch your back. Use passwords to protect your information. The ultra-competitive people are looking for almost any edge, And again, if they're the nasty, sneaky, or the ruthless type, any edge at any cost. So I'm a big believer of use passwords, protect your information. Don't leave, confidential stuff on your desk, or again, we're talking about business environments, right? Keep detailed records of your contribution, the outcomes, the efforts you create, and make sure you let those stakeholders, people that are important to you, know what you did on that project or that initiative. You may want to confront. I'm a big believer of confronting people who have those nasty behaviors. Do you mean passwords to your computers? Yeah, computers, but also our smartphones. Anything that could have sensitive information on it, I want to password protect, and I want to change those on a regular basis. I'm a big believer of that privacy and security. And you walk away from your desk to go to get a cup of coffee, you don't know who else is looking over your material. I don't leave my laptop open in coffee shops. I have a privacy screen on my laptop for when I fly. So all that stuff is just really smart ways to keep your information confidential. Again, especially from ultra competitive, or we're talking about that potentially negatively competitive peers. Next, you want to confront the person directly to let them know you're onto them. If this isn't your style, let the boss know what's going on. Let your supervisor, your manager, your leader know, and what you've done to address it. Listen, I've talked to Jane, and she is, I believe, just a really competitive person. Unfortunately, sometimes it comes across as unhealthy. What if your boss is the problem? That's the other thing you would have that conversation with. Listen, I want to work for you. I want to help you. I want to make you look good. I want to make sure you succeed. But I can't really work effectively in this environment. And by the way, I'm a big believer that I'd rather deal with a devil I know versus devil I don't know. So I'd rather figure out that issue in my current job. But sometimes, you fear retaliation. There's a couple of questions coming in. Yeah, you have that candid conversation. The other thing is let other colleagues know. You can't keep this in, right? Let other colleagues know about the situation and ask for their support. Hey, Steve, I'm really struggling with Tim, our boss. How do you work with it? I noticed you two get along better. Or my impression is he listens to you more. So I'm always trying to figure out, or other colleagues that I work with can give me better advice on how to work with if the problem happens to be above me. The other thing is, don't let them get you to react. Always be one step ahead. I've always believed calm, cooler heads prevail. I've always believed, again, that steady as she goes mentality and mindset and demeanor is much more effective at work than the emotional highs and the emotional lows, right? People that just completely get depressed because things aren't going their way. So these are just a handful of tips. And again, we've been talking about 5 strategies to deal with ultra competitive people that you work with, peers. Somebody brought up potentially bosses. So real quick review, really invest time and effort to get to know them and figure out what's the source. There's got to be a root cause for why they behave a certain way. And I mentioned that certain type of competition is healthy. It raises the bar on everybody. But the sneaky or nasty or ruthless behavior, it just is not productive, and it just demoralizes everybody. 2, maintain a polite and civil manner. I'm a big believer of take the high road. Even if somebody does you wrong, take the high road. I try to probably minimize the interaction with them, but I'm not getting in the gutter with them. And the name calling and all that stuff isn't going to work. What do you suggest for using the bathroom on airplanes? Same thing. I put my laptop away. I make sure it's password protected. I may put it in my bag or in a thing in front of me. I certainly have my phone with me. So anytime I step away from, especially confidential information, I don't leave any of that stuff out. 3rd, look to your own competitive posture. Could you learn more? Could you be a little more competitive? Could others help? Again, open your eyes, open your ears at work, see what others are doing, and ask yourself, do some of that introspection and ask yourself, could I get better? Could I improve what I'm doing and how I'm doing it? Be an advocate for more cooperation or collaboration. Again, I talked about bring people into your projects, ask for help. It's amazing how less guarded people become if you go asking for help. I apologize. I think there's a There's a Greek or there's another language that's joined us that I can't read. So really be an advocate for collaboration. Be an advocate for cooperation and working together. Last but not least, I gave you some tactical best practices. User IDs and passwords. Don't leave confidential information open on your desk. Confront the person. Listen, John, I don't understand. Is there a bull behind you on the shelf? Oh yeah, I'm a big, thanks for noticing. I collect bulls. That's bullish on the market, bullish on growth, and I do a lot of growth consulting. So yeah, there's a handful of cool kind of bulls I've picked up over the years. Last but not least, don't let them get you to react. Really think ahead, step ahead. I play chess. I teach my kids to play chess. And it's what it forces you to do is think ahead. I think that's smart in your personal life, in your professional life, in your growth, and I hope this has been useful to you. Again, my name is David Nour. I'm an author of a book called Relationship Economics. I do these Periscopes every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Thanks for those of you who are here. I hope you'll come back, and I hope you'll put some of these ideas to work. Keep coming back. Thanks, everybody. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.